Here is a message that titled, "Will Trump Fulfill the Prophecies from the 1800s?" What am I talking about? After the Civil War, there was a group of people. They were elders and people that believed, of course, in the Lord Jesus Christ. They believed in visions and dreams that went to prayer and fasting concerning the United States. When they began to get together and begin to share some of the dreams that they were having, there were about 7 or 8 points. We haven't counted exactly here, maybe more than that, maybe closer to 9 or 10. That seemed to be a common theme. Now, in 2010 in Griffin, Georgia, we shared this information. It actually came from a book, and we apologize for not being able to give you the title because we packed this book up in probably 2011 boxes. We have literally 60 to 80 boxes of books packed up in a warehouse and could not tell you what box that book is in. But we do know that the individual who wrote it had been a journalist with the New York Times, and he had researched all of this. And we just really were fascinated by it. And now, for the first time, it appears it could be coming to pass. We get information, we leave it in the realm of possibilities that President Trump, and we still call him President Trump, may fulfill what we are about to tell you. Now, what we're going to do is share with you the visions and dreams that occurred with this group of people after the Civil War. And remember, these were written down in the 1800s a long time ago. This is not something someone just came up with. These are, well over a 200-year, and we have to go back and add up the years, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of additional years. First, there will be internal fighting among families, as predicted by Christ in the New Testament. Well, the political division, if nothing else, is causing that. There will not be one big war, but there will be fighting that will spread to the states, cities, and neighborhoods throughout America. Now, we've already seen that with protesters, especially on the West Coast, and we think it was Minnesota and all these, Wisconsin, all these other places. Number 3, this is what one of the elders said. "We see the end of this nation, USA, and it is terrible. A secret band will sap the life out of this nation." A secret band, which that word band there means group. We would call it today, we think, the deep state. Manufacturing will cease for a time. Even farmers will allow their land to remain fallow. Now, whether you believe this or not, you can research where some farmers didn't even farm because they didn't have the money to do it because of the debts they owed, either on their equipment. So they just let the land, not a lot at this point, but there were some. The sea will heave itself beyond its bounds, engulfing cities. Earthquakes, hail, and rain will bring destruction. We've seen that already, and we think the sea heaving itself may actually allude to some future big tsunamis, which is something that we've actually seen in dreams and visions. Very troubling when you experience something like that. Mobs will roam the cities looking for money and food, and destroying anyone who opposed them. Now, we've not seen them looking for money and food, but we have seen mobs roaming the cities, burning the businesses and the cars and causing chaos. Now, this one is very interesting, the Indians. And they were not talking here about the Native Americans. They actually were talking about the Hispanic community in the South will raise up and challenge the American people. And that has been done with what we call the illegal immigration, with illegal immigrants and things of that nature, and won't elaborate on that. We think those of you who, watch the news and keep up with things can see it. The next one is, this is it right here. Listen carefully. The government will abuse the Constitution, go into severe debt, and they will actually eventually flee because of safety concerns. Now, you've seen them confront people over the past several years in restaurants, go to their homes in protest, and now it's being reversed. These people who are considered by some to be traitors or whatever are being confronted in airports and things like that. Internal fighting will cause the collapse of the federal and state governments. Now listen to that last one. Internal fighting will cause the collapse of federal and state governments. Now, we do know that historically democracies do not last forever, and it has been predicted for quite some time that the democracy in America would not last forever. And not either saying it will or it won't. That's not what we're here to share with you. We want to share with you these visions and dreams. Now, all of this again was in the 1800s, post-Civil War, after the Civil War, all right? Now here was one of them that I got to tell you about. that we think may be connected to President Trump. They predicted that the Constitution would be trampled under, which it has been and will be in the future. There will be a group of people rise up in the United States, forming an organization or a group. It's a major group to restore the Constitution and demand a new government be elected. The 1800s, this word was given. Now again, these were visions and dreams that people were having, and we want to say it again. A new group of people will rise up to restore the Constitution and demand a new canal, the restoring of the Constitution. We can understand that because groups like the Tea Party were pro-constitutional, but that last part of demanding a new government, that the government was so corrupt, they said, we demand a new government. It has to be. It would have to be people in the tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of people before that would happen. It has been reported that President Trump is possibly going to form a new political party, a pro-constitution party. And we don't think he knows anything about this or anything about these predictions. We wish somebody would share that with him. And this new political party that would raise up the United States would be pro-constitution. Now, the thing that's happening now, and we're saying this from someone who is over 60 years of age, been ministering for over 40 years, we believe that this division that you see is very clear: pro-constitution, pro-freedom, pro-faith versus atheism. Marxism, communism, silencing people. And it happened in Germany, it happened in Russia. And the people, of course, the Russian Revolution was different because the Bolshevik Revolution was the common people raising up. But it led to communism, which sounded good at the time but was terribly detrimental. The fascism that came through Hitler is more what we're seeing with shutting down the radio, shutting down the bank account, shutting people out of their jobs, firing them because of their different ideas and beliefs. That's happened. That's happening all over. And if these groups, Christians who love the word and know the word, conservatives, Christians, and patriots, and there are a lot, especially in the South, Midwest. We don't want to say too much about that. We know a good bit about some of those homies in the Midwest, but in the South as well. In the Southeast, there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 states that we think are pro-constitution. In 10 states that just have large cities, people pay no attention because they don't think that what is happening is going to impact them. Where the cities will be impacted will be with natural disasters. Now listen to us, mark this down. You'll come back to this. Maybe if this video is up in years from now, months, we don't know. You'll come back to this, but there will be cities that will come under natural disasters. And they're going to be cities that, if they keep passing the laws they're getting ready to pass, we mean Biden has signed in shutting down the Keystone, which lost 10,000 jobs. And if he goes to the $15 an hour minimum wage, which sounds great, you lose 3.7 to about 7 million jobs from small businesses, restaurants, fast food chains that cannot afford. You know, your hamburger, instead of being a hamburger, fries, and a drink for $5, is going to go up to $10 at McDonald's. You can't survive that, you cannot make it. Small businesses cannot make it, especially if you're paying insurance. So we understand it, and those who are economists have warned this could be, sounds great. I think it would be great if everybody could get that, we really do. But from a practical perspective, when you are paying bills, insurance, salaries, plus the bills to own a business, it just doesn't pan out. So President Trump may be fulfilling these predictions from the post-Civil War of the 1800s by forming a new political party. And we'll be honest, it frightens the party that he's connected with right now. But at the same time, it gives you leverage in the future to say, our group of, let's just use a fictitious number, 25 to 30 to 50 million people who are a part of my organization do not believe in what you're about to do. It will affect the people, so we're not voting for you. Then that's how the other side puts pressure on their people. You know, someone was sharing with me the other day that the Keystone Pipeline was on Obama's desk for a long time, and he actually thought it would be a good idea for America, but he wouldn't sign it because pressure came from the party that he's connected to. So anyway, we will see in time to come. But the reason we think that this part that talks about the state and federal governments collapsing with internal fighting and the abuse of the Constitution, the communities in the South raising up, and that would be at the border because we can see it coming, or we're seeing in early stages. So why wouldn't the rest of this come to pass as well? So there you have it. Time will tell, but we want to share this with you. We think it's very interesting and very intriguing. And someone says, well, how do we know when someone has given us a dream or a vision that it's from the Lord? And the answer is, if it comes to pass. And sometimes visions and dreams are timed and people give a date, and when it doesn't happen, you just have to admit they missed it, or they have to admit they missed it. But at times when there's not a time element, then it could be, this is where in the 1800s, it could be far off into the future. So the Bible says we don't despise prophecy, but we have to judge it. And we don't want to get into the rules and the laws of judging prophetic words. That's another day, another time. But thank you for joining us. We would suggest to you to watch to the end of every message on our program. So please take the time to watch it, because it may have something that you would be very interested in, and it helps support our global support for Christianity and new believers. Our group is not just in America, it's all the way around the world. And of course, we need the Christians and those who believe our message, even the American patriots and all of our good friends.